Guys, welcome back to UDCYD, and as I said earlier, we're going to be touching on the Incoterm EXW. So a reminder, Incoterms are terms that the buyer and seller both agree to during international transactions. This is when the seller's costs and risks are transferred to the buyer. So as I said, we're going to be focusing on EXW. So I've recreated this table. It's actually a long one, so I'm going to just break them down into bits and pieces so you can understand. So EXW basically stands for Ex Works or at place. This is basically where your goods are being manufactured. And as you can see here, this is the type of risk. And these are the obligations and charges. Okay, so this is where you're going to see this transference of the costs and risks associated with this Incoterm, which is EXW, right? So let's say you're on Alibaba and you find a great supplier for, let's say, pens, for example. And then you speak to the supplier, give him all your specs and everything, and you don't want to customize anything, you just want to buy the raw product, and the factory says, sure, no problem, I'll give you at EXW price. So basically he's saying, I'm going to give you at factory price with no modifications or anything. So when he says that, you're quite chuffed, right? Because it's the lowest price, it's the lowest possible price that the factory can give you because of these obligations and charges. So as you can see, the only thing the factory is responsible for doing with those pens that you ordered is the packaging, right? So the factory is only responsible for the packaging. As you can see, it says seller over here. And the rest, if you want to import all these 1,000 pens to your country, all the charges are on you. So as you can see, if you want to, after buying these products, you have to load them, you have to deliver them to your port or place, whether you ship them via freight, via sea, and so forth, the export, the customs clearance and whatnot. So EXW is very tricky in this sense because you have to do everything from and take it from the factory all the way to your country, right? So never choose EXW unless you have an established supply chain. So you have your people in any country, whether it's China, Vietnam, and so forth. You have your people, your logistics, your tax clearance agents, and so forth. So only choose EXW when you have a stable and reliable supply chain. But other than that, you'll have to choose another Incoterm, but we'll get back into that. So in summary, EXW is basically factory price, and this is Ex Works at place. So basically the only thing the factory is responsible for is packaging your goods. The transport to pick up those goods to deliver to the airport or the port and so forth is all up to you. The paperwork is up to you, the lab tests are up to you. And one note I have to say, like when you're buying goods from China, Vietnam and so forth, remember at the end of the day, it's only the responsibility of the manufacturer to produce goods. They don't go through all these hassles of getting certification, taking the pens for lab testing and checking if there's any dangerous chemicals in them and so forth. All of this is up to you. So when you know that, you'd be less likely to pressure a manufacturer for all these certifications. They need to have the general certifications, but when it comes to exporting those goods or importing those goods, you have to make sure that you buy a sample, and whichever country you're in, go to Intertech, SGS and so forth, and you have to test those goods. It's also an investment, but it also helps later down the line. So say for example you buy these pens, everything goes smoothly, and you want to put them on the Amazon store. So you want to put them on the Amazon store, but you have no certifications to prove that these things have been tested and there's no harmful chemicals that could affect anybody using them. And as I said, it's a long story, but long story short, just make sure anything you buy that you wish to sell in bulk or on Amazon or any other platform, you get them tested. So with that said, we're going to move on to FCA.